Hey guys, this is Eric, and today I'm going to be walking you through the first phase of the Oracle BI apps install, version 11.1191. This is the most up-to-date release, just got released pretty recently, and this is going to include running through the OBIEE RCU, the OBIEE install, and upgrading Weblogic from 10.3.5 to 10.3.6. In subsequent videos, we will go through the rest of the steps, but I'm going to break this up into different phases. So this is what I call phase one. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start the database. And while I'm doing this, you actually have to have Oracle Database 11.2.0.3. So to actually get this version of the database, you have to go to Oracle support, and there's some, I'll actually have to look it up and find it somewhere in my documentation, and I'll post a link so you guys can have it, but it's not easy to find. So either run 12c, or you can follow the link if you want to. If you just really set on 11g, that's fine. I kind of am. Haven't really made the move to 12c yet, but anyways, that's the version you have to run. You can't run the original 11g R2 that's on Oracle eDelivery. You actually have to go to Oracle support and download the files there. So anyways, I have that version, 11g 11.2.0.3, and I'm going to go ahead and start that up real quick. I'll go ahead and start my listener as well. And by the way, I've already downloaded all the installers that are applicable to this Oracle BI apps version, and I did get those from the Oracle eDelivery site. So if you just go to Oracle's eDelivery site and choose Business Intelligence, and choose for the Linux 64-bit, you can see a section for Oracle BI apps 11.1191, and you can choose that media pack, and you'll see all the relevant installers in that section. So go ahead and download those if you haven't. They're I think it's about 20 or 30 gigs. So hopefully you have some good internet connection, and you can go ahead and get that out of the way. So we now have the database and the listener started. We'll make sure that the listener is supporting the database. So we'll do a status real quick, and we can see right here that it is. So we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the directory that I stored all the install files in. They were zip files. I went ahead and already unzipped them all. I think I have it in documents. Alright, so I have a separate directory called RCU, and within this directory I have two more directories, one for OBIEE and one for OBIA. The first one we're going to run is obviously OBIEE, because we can't install OBIA without OBIEE. So we're going to go ahead and create the repositories. We're going to navigate into this directory, and your environment will obviously be different, but I think you can figure it out. And then we're going to go into the bin directory. That's where the RCU shell script lies. Just do the ./RCU, hit enter. And by the way, if you're running on a bare bones Linux server, you're going to have to find a way to enable the GUI based installer. I'm sure there is some kind of a command based installer that you could run, but since I'm just running VirtualBox, it's easy, and I'm not going to mess with all that stuff right now. So you go ahead and put in your host name, the port for your database, service name for your database, and that can all be found in the TNS names or listener file. Username, I just have Weblogic, or no, I'm sorry, this is sys. And password, go to next. And honestly, this install is pretty intuitive up until the point of installing BI apps. The OBIEE stuff is actually pretty straightforward, but I figured I'd just go ahead and do the whole thing. So right here, we're gonna choose Oracle Business Intelligence, and that will automatically choose the metadata services as well. So we'll go ahead and click next here. Click OK, and type in a password. I always use welcome1 just because it's easy to remember, and pretty sure every Oracle consultant uses it when they're in their test VMs. And I don't think we have to do any, so we just leave the table spaces the way they are by default. Click next. Okay. Okay. And we're going to click create. After I click create, I'm going to cut this off, and I'll pick back up when it finishes. Okay, so we can see that we successfully created the OBIEE schema in the database. So we're going to go ahead and close this, and it created these two schemas, the dev underscore MDS and the dev underscore I actually can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's dev underscore BI platform. That's what it is. So we'll go ahead and close that. And now we're going to go ahead and go into actually installing OBIEE, and the version for this is 11.1171, I believe. It's either 7.1 or 7.0, whatever the 7 version is. I can't remember if there's 2 or 1, but that's the version that was included in the media pack for Oracle BI Apps 11.1191. So that's the one that we're going to use. I believe that's the latest version out. I think there's like a beta version at this point for 12C for OBIEE, but I don't think that's out to the public yet. So anyways, excuse me. We're going to go ahead and do the install for OBIEE. And go ahead and go back a few directories, and again, your environment is going to be different. So wherever you decide to store these zip files and unzip them is up to you. This is just the directory structure I chose to use. So we're going to go ahead and for my environment, I created a directory called OBIEE, or OBIEE. I always just say OBIEE because it's easier. And I store all these zip files. These are all the zip files that are applicable to OBIEE, and they all get consolidated into this one directory called BI ship home. So we're going to go ahead and go into that directory since I've already unzipped all of these files, and you're going to go into disk 1, and you're just going to simply run the installer. And by the way, I should have said this before, but if you've never done an Oracle install before, or you're just not very experienced with it, don't ever do this using root. You always want to use a non-root user. You can run into tons of issues that I promise you don't want to deal with, so just don't use root. We're going to go ahead and skip the software updates, and you can do differently if you want. And here we're going to choose the enterprise install, and I believe you have to use either the enterprise install or the software install. I'd suggest just going ahead and doing the enterprise install. There's something in the documentation that's new with 11.1191, and I really can't remember it, but do enterprise install unless you have a reason not to, and if that's the case, make sure to look at the documentation and see what that stipulation is. We're going to sit here and wait for the prereq check, and if yours doesn't go through, down here it'll show you, it'll basically tell you what you need. So you might just have to do a couple yum installs and just install some packages. Usually that's the case. So, and for that, obviously, if you didn't know, you have to be root to do that. So just a side note. Go ahead and enter the password that we want to use. I just did welcome one. And so here, this is up to your discretion, where you want the middleware home to be. So a few things you want to do. I believe the entire BI apps software suite is around 30 gigs. So you want to do a df-h to make sure that you have enough room on whatever partition you're planning on doing the install on. So in my case, I'm going to, I'll just show you where I'm at right now. So I'm in home Oracle. So it shows in the home partition, or in the partition that has the home directory, I'm at 28%, and I still have 166 gigs available, so I have plenty of room. I'm actually going to store it in the app directory and in the Oracle directory, and I want it to be in here. So if I do a pwd, show me the path, you can see where I'm at right now, and I'm just going to add another directory up here called middleware. Now you don't want to create it in the terminal before you run the install, or else it'll throw an error, it'll pitch a fit. This is going to assume that you don't have a middleware home as of right now, and so it's going to want to create it for you. So with that being said, we're just going to go ahead and enter in the path, and then add the directory that we want to store it in, and it'll automatically update the other values for you. Hit next. Now here's another thing that's this is actually one of the main things that's different with BI apps 11.1191 from the previous version 11.1181. They're very similar, but this is one of the key differentiators. Before, you did not have to install real-time decisions or Essbase Suite, but in this case, for the new version, we do. And I'll get into the reasoning for that later, but basically it uses Essbase Suite to do more efficient queries and things like that. It's just the analysis is much more efficient based on the cube model. So we have to choose all four in this case. All right, so here's an error that I run into a lot, and if you're new to Oracle installs, I will walk you through this. So it's saying an Oracle home environment variable should not be defined. So I have an Oracle home variable defined right now because of my database. And so what you basically need to do is, for this terminal alone, you want to unset, that's the command, unset the Oracle home variable just for this terminal session. And I'll show you how to do that. So we're going to go ahead and exit out of this real quick. And we want to say unset Oracle home. Alright, so now that we've unset the Oracle Home, we want to make sure that it's in fact not assigned. There's no value assigned to Oracle Home anymore. So what we're going to do is echo Oracle Home, and we can see nothing's there. Whereas before, if we would have done that before the unset command, it would have shown us the Oracle Home path. So, and basically the overall reason for this is the script that's running in the background from this the application that's running to do the install is setting its own Oracle Home, and it doesn't want to see that in the environment variable anywhere. So basically, at a high level, that's what we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and run the installer again, and basically go through that same process, the exact same. And you'll see this time we should get a different result. And again, how I'm configuring this is solely based for a VM environment. This is not a local VM environment. This is not I would not suggest some of the things I'm doing for a production environment, storing sensitive data and those types of things. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so here's where we should not see the same error. Alright, so it went through. Perfect. Okay, so the connect string here, and this is only if you're using Oracle database. If you have a different data source, you're going to have to look at the documentation. I'm not sure. I assume it's going to follow the same standard as it is here, but don't quote me on that. So this is solely for Oracle database users. So we're going to go ahead and do the host name and the port and the service name. So in my case, it's BIApps : 1521 : ORCL. And so now it's asking us to specify the schema that we just created in the RCU. So the step we just previously ran, we need to specify what that schema name is. So in this case, our prefix was dev, and the suffix is BI platform. And we'll type in the password we specified earlier during the RCU. And in my case, it was welcome1. Alright, same goes for here, and usually it'll go ahead and auto-populate based on the prefix you gave it before, because it's going to go ahead and assume that the prefix is going to be the same for the other schema that you created. So we have everything pre-populated here. I'm using the same password, so if you're using a different password for the different schema, make sure to update that accordingly. Click next. And so here, I always do auto port configuration, but if you are running on an environment with a bunch of applications and you need to specify certain ports, you can go ahead and do that here. But for usability, we're gonna do auto, and again we're gonna opt out of the security updates. And do you want to remain uninformed? Yes, I do want to remain uninformed. Alright, so here's the long and painful process of the OBIEE install. After I click install, I've done it a few times, and it should take, it depends on your hardware and everything, but for my environment, again, I'm running 8 gigs of RAM on this VM alone. 2 CPUs, and it's been taking about an hour to an hour and a half. So just get ready to find something else to do, or go take a walk or something. go ahead and hit install, and I'm going to wait for this to finish, and I will pick up after it does. Alright, so the install has finished, as you can see. It shows all the details here, and if you want to save a file with all the details, you can click save, and it'll ask you for a directory and the file name and all that. I don't really think it's necessary, but if you want to do that, you can. So we're just going to click finish, and it's just going to take a minute. Okay, so now that we've finished the install, it automatically has started all of OBIEE's components, and that consists of an admin server, which is basically what you tell it to do in enterprise install mode. It installs the admin server, the managed server, OPMN, which consists of all the other components: BI server, Java host, scheduler, cluster controller, and presentation services. And I believe, yeah, that's pretty much it. So it goes ahead. Oh yeah, and node manager as well. So all of those services are started. And so if you want to go ahead and make sure that everything's working correctly, you can log in using the credentials that you specified earlier. And we're in. So you can just kind of look around here. If you go to administration, you can see the version of OBIEE that we've installed, and it looks like everything's running correctly. Just to confirm that everything is in fact running correctly, we can navigate to 7001. We can do EM, and this is for Enterprise Manager. So this is actually going to tell us if all of OBIEE's components, including the managed server, the admin server, are up and running, and what their status is. From Enterprise Manager, we can also shut down, start up, and administer OBIEE's components, and that uses Node Manager. So if you don't have Node Manager running, you actually can't start and stop OBIEE's components. So just keep that in mind. And usually the first time you log into any of these web applications, it's going to take more time than subsequent logins will. So first time is always the longest, but after that it should be fairly quick. Do not show these options again. Yeah, just keep that default. Hit continue. Yeah, it's taking a long time. So I guess while this is loading, I can go ahead and outline what we're going to do next, and this will really be the last step of what I call phase one. So by default, OBIEE, this version, installs, if you're using enterprise mode, using Weblogic 10.3.5, like I said before. What we're going to do is we are actually going to upgrade the Weblogic server. So the next step is to show you what that process entails. So back to the Enterprise Manager, we can see here that the deployments are up, and this shows all the different deployments and everything. We can actually go into the Weblogic domain, and this is the BI Foundation domain, and this shows everything that's deployed on this domain. So this should show us, oh, hang on just a minute. Here we go. So you can also see this in Console. So Console is another web application that is used to administer it's actually used to administer more so the managed server. So here you can actually administer everything. So we can see everything's up, so we're good. We're going to go ahead and just exit out of this, and you guys can do more searching through this, and I can actually make another video on that. But this is, try not to get too far off track. This is strictly an install video. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and go into the Weblogic upgrade process. So first thing we got to do is go ahead and bring down OBIEE and all of its components. So there's a couple ways to do this. One, you could do what I just said and use Enterprise Manager, but ultimately you're still going to have to shut down Node Manager and the admin server. Well, I guess you could shut down the admin server using the console, but I'm going to show you how to do it manually, because this is the way I like to do it. So and if you don't know how to do it manually, you know, when you have an issue, the GUI is not always going to give you the answer. So you have to know how to do these simple commands and run these simple scripts. So I have actually pulled an OBIEE start script. It's written in Bash shell off of some blog. I think it was Written in Mead. Their blog, they had some startup script, and I made some modifications to it. I actually picked up a book on shell scripting, so if that's something you're interested in, I highly recommend it. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and show you the shell script. I'm not going to run it because I want to show you how to do it manually, but I'll show you the shell script really quick and just kind of walk you through what it does and what the startup and shutdown process looks like, because you have to do it in a certain sequence or else it won't be successful. So I'm trying to remember where I put this. Oh yeah, it's back one. So here. So this is a startup script that I was talking about. You basically specify some parameters up top, or variables rather, however you want to look at it. And you could hard code it if you wanted to, however you want to do it. I had to make some changes. Written in Mead's script actually uses a previous version of Bash shell. I actually need to. I've done a search and seen what version of Bash I'm using now. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But the moral of the story is that they were using an older version of Bash, and so whatever script they had on there was not compatible with the version of Bash I was running, so it wasn't working. So that's when I picked up the book and kind of did some tinkering and figured out what the differences were. And so anyways, basically we have a few methods: the start method, the stop method, or I should say a couple. And so the startup process basically looks like this. So you could, it doesn't matter which one you start first, either the node manager or the admin server. You start either one, it doesn't matter, first. So those are interchangeable. Start the admin server, and then it starts the node manager, and then it starts the managed server, and finally it starts the BI components, which is the OPMN. So the shutdown process is basically in reverse. You stop the BI components, then you stop the managed server, then you stop the admin server, then you stop the node manager. Again, node manager and admin server are interchangeable, so keep that in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, and I'm going to show you how to do it manually. So I'm going to go to the directory that we installed OBIEE into. So it was home, Oracle, app, and Oracle again, and then we installed it in a new directory called middleware. So now we're here, and this is what it looks like. So we have a few things here. The user projects directory, it has the managed server and the admin server. instances actually has the OPMN processes, and then the WLS server is actually where you'll start your node manager. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to follow that process I just defined, and we're going to go into domains, and this is the only one, so we're going to go into bin, the bin directory. So just to show you where I'm at, this is the current directory I'm in. And to stop the managed server, I'm going to show you the wrong, or not the wrong way, but it's just not going to work. Actually, let me show you this. Here we go. So here's what it looks like in the bin directory. So really the only two shell scripts you have to worry about are the start manage Weblogic and the start Weblogic, and also the stop. So what we're going to do, we're going to do stop manage. I'm sorry. All this is case sensitive, so make sure you know that. Stop manage Weblogic, and it's going to ask for some parameters. So I'm gonna click enter and just show you what it says. So it's basically saying we need the domain name, or I'm sorry, the host name, the port, and you can specify the username and password if you want. I'm actually not going to, because it's actually gonna prompt me for it after I run the command. So I'm gonna do the same thing, except this time I'm gonna do the host name and the port of the admin server. And if you did the auto port configuration, by default this is going to be the port of the admin server. So keep that in mind. And by the way, this T3 thing, that's just you don't have to do it. All T3 is basically a protocol that Oracle created. It's supposed to be more efficient sending packets or something like that, but if we're just working on a VM, it's really not that big of a deal, so I never use it. Go ahead and hit the stop. Okay, so we see here it prompted us for the username, just like I said it would. So we're going to go Weblogic, and it asks for the password, welcome1. And by the way, when I typed in welcome1, it didn't show anything. Oracle, no matter what you're logging into through the terminal, it hides the password for you. So if you mess up, just hit backspace a couple times and retype it. Oh my. Okay, so it says. I'm not really sure what happened here, honestly. I'm going to pause this and do a little searching, so just give me 2 seconds and I'll be back with the answer. Okay, I'm sorry. It's kind of early and wasn't thinking clearly. So what I forgot to add was the name of the managed server. That's one of the parameters we have to specify. So right after the stop manage Weblogic command, we're going to go ahead and specify the name of the managed server. By default, it's BI server 1, and if you want to verify that, you can actually navigate to that directory, and I'll show you where it is. It's if you go back to the middleware home, user projects, domains, and then go into that domain, that's where I'm about to go. So if you want to go ahead and start getting there while I'm doing the same, you can. Okay, so just to show you where we're at, we're in the middleware, home, user projects, domains, BI foundation domain. So we do it in ls here, we can see that there's a directory called servers. We're going to go into servers. We're right here, it shows the name of the admin server, it's just called admin server, and the name of the managed server called BI server 1, BI underscore server 1. This is the one that we want to shut down. So just to verify, if you're skeptical, you can double check there. So we're going to go ahead and run this command. And also, one more thing, for that script I showed you, if you want to run that script, you see how it's prompting us for the username and password. You either have to store those values, like the username and password, in the script itself, or you can actually create a file that basically gets encrypted when you log into when you start up the admin and or managed server. And I'm going to show you how to do that while this is shutting down. So we're still in this servers directory, and what we're going to do is we're just going to go into the admin server directory, and we're going to go into security. So if we do an ls, we can see nothing's here. Show hidden files. Okay, nothing's really here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a command called touch, and that basically just creates a file. And we create a file called boot.properties. And we can VI into this. And we're gonna specify 2 parameters and 2 values. Pretty simple. First one's username equals, and you type in your username. And the second one's password, and you type in your password. And like I said, when you start up the server, it'll automatically get encrypted. So this is the better alternative than storing it in plain text in your script. This will automatically encrypt it. So this is what I'd say to use. So we can see over here, it successfully stopped the managed server. So now we're going to stop. We should stop OPMN. And while we're in here, I'm actually going to do this. So I just did this for the admin server. I'm going to go ahead and do it for the managed server as well. Okay, so now we have that out of the way, we won't have to be prompted to enter in credentials anymore. Yeah, so give me just a second. I'm actually getting a call. I'll resume in just a minute. Okay, so we just successfully shut down the managed server, and now we're going to go ahead and shut down the OBIEE components, which is OPMN. So that actually, we go back to the middleware home. Okay, so like I said, instances is going to have our BI instance, which has the OPMN processes. So instances and instance 1, and we're just going to go into bin, and right here in green, OPMN CTL, just run this command, OPMN CTL, and you can do status to see what it looks like. So they're all live, and we're going to go ahead and do a stop all, and this is going to take a minute, but once it's done, it'll say that they've all been shut down successfully. And once again, you can do another OPMN CTL status, and that'll show that they're all down. Okay, so we can see that it has stopped all managed processes, and like I said, we're going to go ahead and just, for sanity's sake, check and see OPMN is not running. Okay, great. So we have 2 of the 4 components down, and so the next thing we need to do is go ahead and take down or shut down rather, the admin server. And so you remember before we just added that boot.properties file, so in theory it shouldn't ask us for a login. So we'll go ahead and see if that works. And this one's a little simpler. For the admin server, you don't have to specify any parameters. You just do a straight stop weblogic.sh, hit enter. Alright, and it's done. So last thing we need to do is we actually need to kill Node Manager. So this is supposed to be a change in Fusion Middleware 12c, but for 11g right now it doesn't make sense why you have to kill it, and there's not some pretty shutdown script, but we have to basically find the process and do an old-fashioned kill. So we're going to do ps ef grep java, and you can see there's only one process running, and it's called weblogic.nodemanager. This is the process ID. This is the primary process ID. So all we need to do is do kill, use the option 9, and specify the process ID. And we'll just do another psef grep java to make sure that it's down, and we can see nothing's running. So we have successfully shut down OBIEE and all of its components. Okay, so now that we have all of OBIEE and its components shut down, we can now resume back to upgrading Weblogic. So to upgrade Weblogic, we're basically going to download and unzip the installer, obviously, which is found in the Oracle eDelivery the Oracle eDelivery package that's on there. It'll be part of that media pack, so as long as you downloaded that, everything in there, it'll be there. So I'll go back to where I have my installers. Okay, so we're going to go into WLS 10.3.6. Oops. And you can see there's a jar file, WLS 1036 upgrade generic.jar. This is what we're going to run to upgrade Weblogic. So in order to launch the installer from this jar file, what we're going to do is first we're going to specify the path to our Java home. So if you have your Java home environment variable set, you can just do a which Java, and it'll show you the full path. So that's exactly what we want to include. So we can copy and paste it, or we could just type it. I'm just going to copy and paste it. So copy, paste, and we're going to use the jar option and specify that jar file. So just to recap real quick, we have the full path to the JDK, and then we use the jar option and specify the name of the jar file we want to run. Hit enter, and it launches the GUI based installer. Give it a minute to start up. Okay, so this is also pretty intuitive. We're just going to hit next here, use an existing middleware home. Yes, make sure that's the correct one. It is. Hit next. I don't want to get updates. Sure you want to bypass? Yes. Yeah, this is, for some reason there's some bug, so you kind of have to play with it to get past this stupid thing. But I can't remember how I did this. I think I just hit next. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's a trick. You just got to hit next. Basically force it. So here, if necessary, proxy server otherwise. Okay, so we still want to wish to remain uninformed. Okay, and by default it should give you the correct values that you want to upgrade. It's basically looking at the existing middleware home and the Weblogic instance that's installed there, and it's going to auto-populate these values. Click next. It's just saying everything's going to be upgraded. Say OK, next. And we're just going to wait a minute, and once this finishes, I'll resume the video. Okay, so once it's complete, should prompt you something like this. Congratulations, install is complete. Don't run the quick start. You don't need to. So hit done. So this actually wraps up the first phase. We just created the necessary schemas for OBIEE. We installed OBIEE, and we also upgraded Weblogic from 10.3.5 to 10.3.6. The next video will go into phase 2, which will consist of installing ODI and running the OBIEE RCU, and actually getting into the OBIEE install. So go on to the next video to see that.